Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar video. This is going to be Avatar Trivia Challenge number 3. So I know it has been a very long time since the last one, just about 2 years. As I've said many times before, I find it difficult to come up with questions that I think are good enough, and so that's why it's taken a long time. The other reason would just be that in the last 2 years, in the grand scheme of things, we have not really got that much extra new content. And then with some of the sort of rules that we're using this time out, other pieces of content that would be good for trivia questions, we're not really using for this trivia. So it has really taken the release of the next novel. Like Avatar Trivia 2 was the post both Kyoshi books edition. So it's taken the Yangchen book coming out for me to have a good enough piece of content to base a trivia on. So this is Avatar Trivia number 3, the Dawn of Yangchen edition. So for anyone who maybe hasn't participated in one of these trivia challenges before, I just want to give a little bit of a description of how I approach trivia, and then we'll get into like the rules and the questions for this trivia edition. So my thoughts on trivia, having been involved in trivia in the fandom for quite a while, a large amount of time on the site ATLA Online back in the day, and then more recently here on YouTube. I like to have questions that more, in a way, challenge people's like understanding of the Avatar universe. I don't really like the way like most trivia tends to be done, where it's more of an exercise in like memory, that like you ask someone a question and give them like 10 seconds to answer. So the whole idea of these trivia is that they're sort of constructed in a way where we're acknowledging the way that this is going to work, is that you're going to have to email me your answers, and so I can't keep track of you over the course of this trivia. So there's no point in having restrictions of like, oh, you can't watch the show again, or you can't read the books again. I'm just kind of like, no, full open book. Do as much research as you want. The questions are done in a way where, yes, some of them you can probably just rewatch the thing and you'll get the answer to the question that way. But that in a way is part of, in a way, doing like the research on a more challenging kind of question, is that knowing where the answers are, even if you maybe don't remember the answer straight away. So that's it. That's a big thing for me, is just that like some of these questions will not just be about sort of like, in a way, tell me what happened in the book, but like show me you understood what happened in the book and how it kind of connects to other things. There will be other ones where it's more of a sort of like almost like scavenger hunt of like find these things anywhere across the franchise and stuff like that. So for me, that's the way I like to do trivia. I don't like to just go needlessly like obscure in the sense of like asking someone a question and hope that they know something off the top of their head. If it's an obscure question, of course you have to give someone a chance to sort of look up stuff, and that's in a way my approach to this the whole time. So I do like to do it in a way where like I put the questions together with the idea that I'm hoping no one can get full 11 out of 11 on the trivia. But of course, that hasn't worked the previous 2 times. Winners both times previously here have got full marks before, and we'll see if it happens this time. I've done my best to make the questions, challenging, difficult, but not like, stupid questions, basically. Questions that, even if you participate and don't get many of them right, when you see the answers, that you will have sort of like learned something, because that's kind of part of what I want to do on the channel here as more sort of hardcore into the lore, into the details channel, is to obviously talk about that stuff, but also help people get into that style of things if you want to know more about the universe. And so I think the trivia is a good way to use that as like a learning kind of situation as well. So with that sort of like intro out of the way, let's get into how the trivia is going to work. Okay, so let's get into the rules and the details of this. It's very similar to the previous 2 if you participated in them, but of course we probably will have some new people this time out. So, Airspeed's Avatar Trivia Challenge, here are the details. So there's going to be 11 questions for you guys to answer. You will submit your answers to me before August 31st at 2 p.m. Ireland time, meaning that you have like basically 11 days from when the video goes live to answer. Previously, I gave you guys a week. I'm just giving it a little bit more time just because I think it works nicely to just say that the end date is like the end of the month. You will send your answers to me via email to the email address listed on screen there, avataronlinepodcast@gmail.com. That is my podcast email address. Do not post answers in the comments. The main reason for this is that, one, you will be giving away your answers to other people because everyone can see the comments. So if you want to win the trivia, you're not doing yourself a favor there. And one, you're kind of, ruining some of the fun of it if you do that as well. So also, ask in the comments or by email for clarification on questions. If you're not exactly sure if this is what the question is asking, or you're unsure potentially if your answer is really in the right kind of vein of what I want, you can ask for that. I can't guarantee I'll always be able to kind of give you any more clarification on a question, because some of them, they're difficult to word without just giving it all away. So, just be aware of that. And then this one is just more for me and the kind of time that it takes to actually correct these once it's all done. I don't know how many people are actually going to enter, so I could have a lot of different people's answers to go through. So to help me out, please submit your answers one time and don't add any additions or edits. I don't want to go onto your email and see that there's 5 or 6 emails and I have to look at your original email but then refer down to your 6th email for your new answer to this question. No, you have a bunch of time to answer these questions, so please just draft up one email with all of your questions, because the way I'm going to do this basically is that first email that you send me, that is locked in. Anything else you say after that, I'm not going to consider, and that is just to make the process afterwards as easy as possible. So you have been warned about that. And then if you do enter, your score will be shown in the results video. This is more of a thing where if you are going to, be a little bit sort of frustrated if you don't do well on the trivia and will be annoyed to see a low score next to your name, just be aware that that is the case. I don't really linger on it too much. I'm more going to be highlighting sort of the person who wins for the most part in that, but just be aware I will be showing the results of everyone who participated in the video. So that is the core rules. There is one extra additional rule that I think is quite important, and that is just this. Since it is not available to purchase currently, and so few people in the fandom and in my community have it, the Avatar Legends role-playing game books and all of the information that comes from the Avatar Legends role-playing game will not be considered for this trivia. None of the questions are directly about it, and also I will not be accepting Avatar Legends information as answers to questions, even if those answers are correct for that question. So for the sake of this trivia, treat the Avatar Legends information as if it doesn't exist. And this is a general thing for these trivias as well, since I'm going to want kind of slightly detailed answers, is be aware of where your information comes from. Don't just type everything out because you think you know the question. You have to consider everything that you put down. Where does that actually come from? And think about, do we only know that from Avatar Legends? If so, that's not going to be an answer to the question, and you're going to have to find an answer elsewhere. That is a good general rule to have for doing these trivias, but just be super aware of that, because it might still happen, even though I've given this warning, that people answer with Legends stuff and will miss out on marks because they didn't read the whole video and just skip to the questions. Finally, the winner, you do get something. Unfortunately, I'm not really in a position to give out sort of Avatar merchandise or stuff like that as prizes, but the winner will get to choose the topic for an upcoming Avatar discussion video. So that's my main series where I go in depth on a specific topic in Avatar. You will get to choose the topic for that video. Also, you will become the Avatar Trivia Champion and will remain the champion until the next Trivia Challenge. If there is a tie for the top score, that means there will be co-champions, like has happened before, and they will each get the prize. So, Also, if you don't want the prize, because you can't come up with an idea for a video, it will be given to the next highest placed entrant. So that's that. Then one final thing before we get into the questions. Previous champions. So Trivia 1 was a tie between Lee and Yuto, both of which got a perfect score. Trivia Challenge number 2 was also won by Lee, but this time on his own. Perfect score once again. Trivia Challenge 3, it could be you, of course. That's what we're going to be fighting for in this edition. So, with that out of the way, let's jump into the questions. So, question 1. And again, the whole Dawn of Yangchen edition, not every question is going to be Dawn of Yangchen focused. It's just that quite a few of the questions relate to Dawn of Yangchen or feature stuff from the Dawn of Yangchen. So, just be aware of that. So, question 1. 3 of the 4 Shang cities are new in the Dawn of Yangchen. The other we have seen before. Which Shang city do we know about from before? Where do we know it from? And what did we know about it? So, just in case you're confused by sort of the wording there, I'm just kind of highlighting here that we were introduced in the Dawn of Yangchen to 4 Shang cities. One was the name of a place we knew from other material prior to the Dawn of Yangchen coming out. The question is about that one Shang city that we have previous information on. So I'm asking you for the name of that city. I'm asking where, so like basically what material in the Avatar universe did we learn information about this city from, and what was that information. Again, the idea with these questions, be as detailed as possible here to make sure you really get yourself those marks. You don't need to write a whole essay about this, but just don't just be like name of city, blah, blah. You know, make it clear to me you know what you're talking about and you'll get the points. So that is that question. Question 2. What change in how children are taught firebending did Zuko implement after becoming Fire Lord? So I don't think there's too much clarification to have here. This is sort of one you either know it or you don't know it. I'm not sure how easy or not this one will be to find out about. But the idea here is that Zuko has implemented a change in sort of basically Fire Nation schools effectively for how firebending is now taught, something unique about it. What is that change? What has Zuko now done or made happen with how children are taught firebending? So that's the point. And again, you know, explain it as best you possibly can. Because if you give a really general answer and it makes it clear that like you're not really sure what it is and you're just guessing and it slightly resembles the answer, you're probably not going to get full marks on the question. So make it clear you know where I'm referring to here. So question 3. This, I think, is going to be one of the harder questions here. And so I do have a few sort of like kind of restrictions on this question. So question 3. Name 11 books in the Avatar universe. By that, I mean 11 named or titled in-universe books. So don't name the comics or the art books or stuff like that. That's not what I'm referring to. In episodes of Avatar, the comics, story content of Avatar, books that you would see within the story, basically. I want the name of 11 books that we see in Avatar story material. So again, explain where you got the names from. And this is going to be extremely strict with this question. You need to really make it clear that you know where it is, because this is a question where you might find something obscure that maybe I don't have in my answers. So to help you get your answers across, make it clear, name the book, and describe where you found it, where that name came from. Similarly, no translations of text unless the material that the information comes from translates it itself. So this is just to avoid finding background shots and translating the kind of text in the background when it's not a focus at all. I'm looking for stuff that is either, say, in the animation, that is either directly pointed out and a character refers to that book by name, or in like, say, a comic or a novel, it is directly referred to as like, this is the title of a book. And it's very, very clear. This question will have negative marking. This will be the only question in the Avatar trivia that will have negative marking. What that means is, if you give me 11 answers and you get 10 correct and 1 wrong, you're basically going to get sort of, like 10 out of 11, but you're going to also get minus a tenth of a mark. So you're effectively going to get like 9 out of 10 on this. So this is just one of those ones where, to make it really clear, to show me you understand what we're doing here, that with these restrictions in place, you know what to find here and what the answers are. So what it means is, you probably shouldn't give me more than 11 answers to this question, because otherwise what you're then doing is you're forcing yourself to have to get 12 or 13 out of 13. Because if you give me 13 correct answers, sure, you get full marks. But if you give me 13 answers and say you have 11 correct, it is going to be 11 out of 11 minus 2 marks for the 2 answers that you got wrong. So just be very clear, and on this one, only do ones that you are absolutely confident are actual in-universe books. And again, explain where you got them from. So this is going to be the question I'm the most strict on in this whole trivia grouping of questions. So just be aware of that. Question 4. We know from the Shadow of Kyoshi that the Sauwon clan came from nowhere to become one of the higher up clans. But the Dawn of Yangchen highlights they were in a good position in the past. So 2 parts of the answer here I'm looking for. How did they fall so low by the time of Kyoshi's era? And then the second part, how did they rise up again? So to again go over this a little bit more. The first part of the question obviously is basically relating to sort of more of the Yangchen era, what caused the clan to fall down low, highlighting where we get to in Shadow of Kyoshi, and then from that low position established in the previous book, what got them back up into a kind of higher position once again. So just again explain, this is to prove your sort of understanding of not just the new book, but also how it connects to lore and information established from the previous books. Because again, it's the same author, it's clearly meant to be a reference, adding to that whole thing. Make the connections and show me you know what you're talking about here. Next, question 5. We have seen the type of spirit that captures Jetson before. Where did we see these spirits? And what is extremely similar between the 2 appearances of these spirits? So, obviously, I think we all know what we're talking about here. This is the incident that effectively leads to Jetson's death in the book, where she has to get Yangchen out of the spirit world, but ends up getting herself captured. So her spirit is trapped in the spirit world. Her body dies. But it was because of specific spirits that they kind of encountered in the spirit world. So those exact spirits, the type of spirit we had seen before in another piece of content. What was that piece of content where we saw those spirits before? And then the second question, obviously, is it's a little bit difficult to ask this in a way that is very, very exact. But just know that I'm looking for a kind of very clear-cut, like notable comparison here between the 2 scenes where these spirits are in. That, don't just say, oh, the sky is blue in both scenes or something like that. Don't just do a minor comparison. You're not going to get the marks for that. Really look into these scenes and connect some dots on why are they actually so similar. Again, we're looking for the detail-oriented stuff, so, try and find some notable details here. That's what I'm looking for from this one. And again, I'm not going to be super strict with the marking of that one. If you give me just something that makes it feel like, yeah, you get the comparison, I'll give you the marks. Question 6. Name 6 characters who are missing part or parts of their body. So the things with this are that the character must be named, so no describing unnamed characters, and also stuff like a character who's just missing some teeth. or stuff like, they're bald, so they're missing their hair. That stuff doesn't count. We are talking about sort of missing arms, legs, that sort of things, eyes, that sort of situation. That's what we're talking about here. Something that makes it clear, notably, that a character is missing a part of their body. So this is one of those kind of more kind of fun sort of scavenger hunt questions, and to make it as difficult as possible, I've put the numbers sort of as high as I possibly can. There likely is a lot of answers to this question, but I think 6 was a solid amount to look for. So just be aware of that. Next, question 7, pretty simple one, hopefully. What age was Earth King Feishan during the Platinum Affair? So this should be a very, very simple question here. Just, figure this out. Question 8. Name 9 restaurants / tea houses / places to eat, places to drink in the Avatar world. Explain your answers, where we get the name from. Again, no translations unless it is translated in the material itself. A similar question to the question about the books, but I'm not going to be as aggressively strict with the answers to this one. So again, try and focus on the idea of very clear-cut, titled, named places to eat or drink in the Avatar world, from all material. So the shows, comics, novels, wherever you're going to get your information from. Again, explain to me where it is. This is just to sort of help me, because if you mention a place that maybe I hadn't looked into or something like that, I don't want to have to scavenge through everything myself to find it. So make it clear, like if you're saying X tea shop, that you say it is this episode where we see X tea shop, or it is in this chapter of the book where we see this thing. That's kind of what I'm looking for here. So, question 9. Jonduri has a reputation for messenger hawk messages being insecure. Chai-Si knows everything that is happening in her city. She even reveals she has a message meant for Yangchen that she chanced upon. How does Chai-Si chance upon these messages? So basically what I'm looking for here is explain to me the details of this whole system that she seems to have going on, where she seems to know what everyone is talking about to each other with the messenger hawks. How is she getting these hawks in a way? How did she get the Yangchen one? That sort of a thing. It's just, it's there, it's in the book, but it's a little bit of a subtle thing. Give me your answer to this question. And again, explain to me what part of the book you're referencing, of course. So, question 10. Name 4 characters who know at least some of Guru Shoken's work. So, again, it is for named characters. I don't think this question is too difficult, but just name the 4 characters and, make it clear you know what you're talking about. Question 11, the last question. Simple, but is it as simple as you think? Name 3 pieces of story content that Wan Shi Tong appears in. So, with this one, I'm obviously looking for the idea here is that Wan Shi Tong appears in 3 different kind of things in the Avatar universe. Obviously, one of them is his episode, basically, the library. So, I don't mind giving that one away. So, that's obviously one of the answers. Use that, of course. I'm not ruling that out because I've said it here. It's that, but he also makes 2 other appearances. Tell me what those appearances are. What is it in? Is it in a comic, novel, what? Tell me all these 3 times he basically appears in the story. So, that is the trivia. Once again, some of the details from earlier on in the video. You now have the questions. Put your answers into an email. Send it to me to avataronlinepodcast@gmail.com at some point between now and August 31st at 2 p.m. Ireland time. Obviously, give yourself some time to go over the questions, research them, put your answers together, but don't leave it too late. because some of these questions are quite detailed. So get them to me before the end of the month. Don't post your answers in the comments, of course. You can ask for clarification on questions, of course. And please only submit your answers once. One email, please, for all questions. That way it makes it easiest for me to cover. So that has been it for the, at least, intro here for the Avatar Trivia number 3. I will have a video that will probably come out in the early days of September, where I'll go over all of the answers and give the results for Avatar Trivia number 3, and we will find out who the next trivia champion is. So that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.